Hi there, you're at the 8th Wyckoff analysis session, and let's quickly take a look at what's happening for Aave, especially after last week massive drop in price. So here, last week from around 300 down to all the way like 260. Even though the volume has been dropping, that's I would say it has scared quite a bit of people, and it actually has brought the price to outside of this upward channel box, this yellow box over here. So as of this moment, it's trading range bound between this light blue key level and the green key level. That's around 240 to 270. And if there's fine support over here, I would say there's potential for it to develop a new uptrend and once again challenge this purple key level. If that's the case, then that would be like either second test or an Upthrust in a later stage compared to the early stage right after the buying climax. So I'll still keep this over here because this isn't over yet. If the volume of these red bars are so high as what happened back in like February or March, then that's not a good sign that's probably going to continue. The downtrend. But currently it's not. The red bars, the volume bars, volume bars, are only like 30% of what we had back in February and March. So as of this moment, it doesn't seem to be too worrying yet. Just that it has to find sufficient momentum while trading between these two levels to gather like the strength to go to the upside, maybe around September, October time. So that's the big picture in terms of the weekly time frame. If it really dies down all of a sudden, the demand, it can come down pretty quickly after an LPSY. You see these multiple LPSYs back in 2021-22. So after the sign of weakness, it pops up to a very high or pretty high LPSY and then comes down. So while I said the positive scenario in the beginning, the negative scenario, very similar, unfortunately. I will find this soon, so you'll be able to see everything. Here, after a deep sign of weakness, it went to a pretty high LPSY, quite close to the buying climax. It went to an LPSY, quite close to the buying climax, and then subsequently follow was a drop and then some bounce and then a deep steep drop and then some bounce and then eventually back to the accumulation. This time we have the first leg already, bounce to a level close to buying climax and then a steep drop and some maybe, I don't know, horizontal trading slightly upwards and then some steep drop again. This second scenario, unfortunately, it looks very close to what happened back in 2021 and like early 22. So I'm not sure whether it will copy exactly the same. As of now, that's what I picked up from the chart. So that's why breaking outside of this upward channel is not something good to see, like what happened back in 2021. So once it broke outside of the upward channel, it was struggling and then went all the way back to a new accumulation for like almost, actually is like almost 3 years long. So finger crossed it's not that scenario, but there are some similarity. And once again, once it has fallen outside of the upward channel, besides these key levels as resistance, this bottom edge of the channel box is also a resistance. So it has double resistance to manage, even if it gets above one of the key levels. So that's the macro view for now. Daily chart. Previously we asked the question, so after the LPSY, is it going to show us a sign of weakness? Indeed, it came down to the level close enough to the automatic reaction level, and I would say we have a confirmed sign of weakness. We'll have to see whether this is still going to be able to challenge the purple level, or like at least go above this blue key level. Like we said in the weekly chart, this 315 level. It's not going to be easy. It probably will take another 2-3 weeks to come to test this level, just by looking at what I said just now, when the price broke outside of the channel box. Here, I just want to quickly check the counter squeeze. As of this moment, there's no squeeze at this point. Previously, it was close enough for a squeeze right there. That's why we have this kind of drop. Much like back in here, there was a squeeze, the price shot up, but immediately it comes down. So this signal, or this indicator, tells us quite a bit, like whether a crazy price change or movement is like closing nearby. Now it's not yet, but in the daily chart that can happen very quickly, because this top line is coming down, this bottom line is getting flat, and if the price continues to consolidate between these two key levels, a squeeze will happen. And unfortunately, given like what I said, it's showing in the weekly chart a similar pattern as in 2021, late 2021. If the bad scenario, the bad case scenario happen, then the squeeze will likely be a downward movement towards potentially a new accumulation period, at least in the daily chart. You see what happened back in March to early April. That was the accumulation period in the daily time frame. In the weekly, that means it's going to come down to challenge the top edge of the white box. That's the long-term playground zone, where most of the time for Aave, since 2020, late 2020, the price has been trading most of the time within that range. Well, if the distribution is over, that's what is going to happen. If it still has strength, if the Aave, the project itself, or the crypto industry as a whole has some very positive news, then it would go for an upthrust in the weekly, and that's when it can go to challenge the upthrust of the distribution in the daily time frame. But we have to ask the question, what would be those positive news? Are there going to be a lot of investments into these projects? Because given all the positive environment right now, that means not only support for existing projects, but also a positive environment for new projects to come out. When new projects come out, that means they are competition for existing projects. So it's not, well, it's positive for crypto industry or blockchain industry as a whole, but for individual projects, we have to be very clear. You have to do the research on the project you believe in, whether it's competitive enough when new participants come in. So if you have heard about the Porter 5 forces, or if you haven't, go ask one of the AIs or just Google. That's one of the threats for existing projects. So that's it for Aave for now. We've got a new session today. See you in the